for Marcus as he launches his defence of the most glamorous and historic rally of them all, Monte Carlo. The colour of his Peugeot may have changed, but little else has. Gronholm will be the man to beat.
They are the same as before, and I don't know what the other have done.
Win a rally last year, the 2001 world champion is on a mission.
I think we're in a better position than we were last year to compete against Marcus and help him be confident and stay confident this year.
Third car will be driven by Gilles Panizzi, who cannot be discounted here if conditions are dry. The Frenchman is an asphalt ace. It was world domination for Peugeot last year, claiming the manufacturer's title. In 2002, the other podium places went to Ford and Subaru. But the biggest threat to Peugeot could come from closer to home, Citroën. This will be the French team's first full WRC programme. They have retained the services of Sébastien Loeb. The big news of the close season was the signing of two of rally drivers' real heavyweights, Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz. Citroën's record on asphalt speaks for itself, making it a serious contender.
Everything's going well. We're still fine-tuning bits and pieces. It just takes some time, but at the moment I'm quite happy with it.
It's after the end of his long-running relationship with Luis Moya.
In these conditions the car is quite good. Just it's a matter of myself to get used and to try to get the maximum of the car.
But will their presence help or hinder Sébastien Loeb?
They can bring a lot of experience in the team because we made the championship last year for the first time on gravel, and all the team need experience, me too. And
Marco Martin, the young Estonian, will be aiming for his maiden WRC win this season.
I think the target is to keep the same consistency we had.
And hungry for success, and hopefully we are very close, and hopefully we are in front,
Hyundai ended the season fourth in the Manufacturers' Championship. They have continuity in the team in the shape of Armin Schwarz and Freddie Loix.
I think I need some help from the team and to make the car a bit stronger, and then it will come.
The news at Skoda is the arrival of Didier Auriol, a three-time Monte Carlo winner in the early 90s. He's glad he said we to the deal.
Skoda called me and we have a very good feeling, and it's really human people, and the challenge feel interesting.
While 10 points will still be awarded to an event winner, the second place driver will now be awarded 8 points instead of 6, with points now available. The Rally Monte Carlo is 3 days of fierce competition on closed roads called stages, shown here in yellow, where drivers race against the clock. The one who completes the stages in the fastest time is the winner and collects the maximum 10 points.
The stages on these twisty mountain roads are a challenge in themselves, but on Monte Carlo Rally the biggest issue for the drivers is the weather, especially the cold and freezing conditions. As the cars wind their way up these mountain tests, the road conditions can dramatically change, from maximum grip to no grip. The correct tyre choice is critical and gives the drivers the biggest headaches.
The tyre choice will be the main factor here.
It's going to be very, very tough to make sure we have the right tyre choice, the least wrong tyre choice.
This year it seems like it's going to be a normal Monte Carlo, and that means you spend most of the time on wrong tyres, and that's not much fun to drive actually.
The Norwegian hurtled around the stage in the brand new Impreza to go second fastest and 4.2 seconds behind the leader. This stage was last used on Monte 3 years ago. On that occasion, Colin McRae was the pace setter. It may be a new year and a new team for the 1995 world champion, but the Scot was all smiles and he made a positive start, going third fastest in the Citroën. Tommy Mäkinen is out to get that record win this weekend, but the former world champion made a nervous start when he stalled, costing him a precious 7 seconds. But as you can see on the telemetry, look how quick he gets going. Gilles Panizzi was one of the pre-event favourites. That's a safe bet considering the Frenchman was practically rallying in his backyard. But he had nothing but problems. The combination of the wrong tyres and some clumsy cornering cost him almost a minute. His chance of a win is now almost impossible. Another man with tyre worries was Marco Martin, who was driving on Michelins for the first time, leaving Ford's leading car languishing in 8th. 8th is now a points position, but making the early claim for them seemed to be running on rails. The Finn was cool as ice as he flew around stage 2, leaving his rival standing. He set a scorching time that was nearly 30 seconds faster than anyone else. But laying down the challenge was Colin McRae. Even in a brand new car, the Scots message was clear as he leapfrogged Petter Solberg to steal 2nd overall. Contrast that with teammate Carlos Sainz. Despite a wealth of experience here, the Monty proved it can still bite back. In particularly icy conditions, the Spaniard smacked into a rock face and spun, damaging the suspension. Nobody warned Petter Solberg about this cruel corner either.
Right, get 2 left half, long tightens narrow, bad ice. Keep in the bad ice half, 2 right minus, opens flat, 6 dry, 14.
The Norwegian getting away quite lightly.
6 right minus, ice opens, 80, slow line is unseen, 2 left, bad ice, water inside.
Hyundai's Freddie Loix has never had much luck on this event. First a spin, then the Belgian suffered a minor scare when he ran wide and straight into a field. French privateer Cedric Robert was going great guns, running in the top 10, and despite following Freddie, he managed to hold on to his place. But it wasn't a clash with the scenery that brought Tony Gardemeister's rally to an early end. The Finn started the stage on 3 cylinders after the turbo blew on his Octavia, and he eventually stopped and retired, the first Monty victim. Leaving Skoda's hopes resting on the shoulders of Didier Auriol, who's back in the harness after a year away. Another blistering stage by Gronholm passes has been thrilling crews and crowds alike. And winning the Monty means everything. The list of past winners reads like a who's who of rallying. Timo Mäkinen, Paddy Hobkirk, Ari Vatanen, Walter Roll and Tommy Mäkinen, to name but a few. Victory here is one of the most coveted prizes in the W. McRae had stood out so far, but Burns was creeping up and breathing down the Scots' neck.
Flat by 20, medium right, slippy, cuts long, 40, medium right, big cut pace, ace inside.
It's a feeling of deja vu with Marcus Gronholm out in front. French star Loeb has mastered the icy conditions and moves in front of his more...
Petter, the car's looking a bit sorry for itself. What happened?
Well, actually, I had 5 kilometers per hour and I just had a dipping and I was stopped for maybe 20.
Loeb blasted his way through the longest test of the rally to claim his 2nd stage win. His confidence on a high with slick tyres. It was enough to take a 20-second chunk out of Marcus Gronholm's lead. The Finn was also on a charge and clearly pushing to the limit. But this moment shows how vulnerable his lead is. Despite that, he still managed to claim 2nd in the stage. Armin Schwarz was next on the list. Bouncing his Hyundai accent around the mountain scenery, but just holding on with some deft car control. But Subaru's worst nightmare became a reality in stage 5.
20. 5 right minus, tightens over bridge. 16, wet and slippy, line into 4 right minus, tightens 2.
The treacherous conditions pushing Petter Solberg's Impreza over the edge.
Well, I came down the road here and I have just slippery in my pace notes.
380 domestic light bulbs. Although difficult to appreciate on these shots, the lights are fantastic. But just imagine when they all go out, as they did for Carlos Sainz in 1995.
Colin McRae through the Zara, Burns behind him. Just outside the points, Roman Cresta, Francois Duval and Skoda's new signing.
Flipping the throttle, you can hear the wastegate chattering. Broadside there, bit of handbrake, sideways and throttle, and he's away. Must be a second quicker alone there. And here we go, Sebastian Loeb again, nice and steady, keeping the car balanced and just steering through the snow and ice. Marcus Granono, look at this. I mean, he's broadside. Look, throw it into that corner, full throttle. He's enjoyed himself. 41 seconds quicker on that stage alone. But it's Sebastian Loeb in the dry, totally committed. Today, the stages are going to be dry. If he's on slicks, look out, Marcus Grönholm.
Monte Carlo has always been a popular rally with the fans, but on the second morning it became a victim of its own success. So many people packed the roadsides that the first stage was cancelled. Not good news for those chasing the leaders.
Colin, what's it going to take to get back on terms with Sebastian and Marcus today?
It's difficult. This stage has been cancelled now as well, which was a stage that you could have pulled a bit of time on because of the ice, but I don't think it's possible.
Very concentrated and not make a mistake.
Marcus, you got Sebastian Loeb just 20 seconds behind you. It's going to be a big fight today.
We will see, yes. I think he will catch me, but how much, I don't know.
Stage 8, an old start from years gone by. The inexperienced crews won't have pace notes for this particular piece of road. Very quick initially, then some great hairpin bends uphill. It then joins a stage from 2002, the stage where Sebastian Loeb was exceptionally quick last year.
And first up was Gilles Panizzi, the asphalt ace, who's normally vying for the #1 spot on the black stuff, but was languishing at the back of the pack. But it wasn't the Peugeot, it was Panizzi himself who was suffering with low blood pressure, leaving the Frenchman feeling pretty ill. Marco Martin was also under the weather, but his stomach bug wasn't bad enough to stop him battling on. In fact, the young Estonian looked more at home on today's drier asphalt.
3 plus left. 33 right narrow.
Carlos Sainz knew he could catch Richard Burns, and when the Spaniard's on a mission, there's not much anyone could do to stop him. He scorched past the Englishman and snatched 4th place overall. Catch me if you can is the message from Colin McRae. With Derek Ringer at his side, the Scot was on a charge. Let's listen to Derek guide Colin through the stage.
Very long left, 53 plus. 58 plus.
No problems for the Scot as he set the fastest time. But still to come, Sebastian Loeb. On slicks and in the dry, the young Frenchman is hard to beat. Let's see what he can do in the same car as Colin McRae. Iceman chased down the Citroën. Let's see how the Peugeot compares.
Vasen eri ja oikein nopea. 4, vaseri tiukka. 110. Nyppy vaseri miinus. Ja oikein nopea, kivi sisällä. 7 ja vasen piru pitkä nopea, kirraa.
Grönholm was nearly 8 seconds slower than Loeb. Now he had a fight on his hands. With just 12 seconds separating Loeb.
And there's an awful lot of
top of the col, and then a twisty descent on ice and snow. A very demanding stage, very twisty downhill, demanding on suspension and brakes. A very spectacular narrow gorge towards the end of the stage, but now on dry tarmac.
Freddie Loix was about to find out how slippy this surface was. And how steep these mountains really are. There was no way back for the Belgian. There's no amount of snow that can scare Marcus Gronholm. He knew he was the stronger man on the ice and went flat out to keep Loeb at bay. But it didn't pay off this time. This brush with the mountain meant the world champion had to stop in the stage to take a look. Precious seconds ticking away. Further in the stage, the pair were forced time.
50 flat line break into easy line, very narrow, anti-right cross damp. 20 fast line, 40 medium right, to medium left long, stalled. 20k right minus tightens in.
Just watch Colin McRae take the same section.
Right, left, right to 3 and right and left, don't cut, then to 3 right and 3 left minus, don't cut, then to 2 right, tightens, and 3 left opens.
He's visibly faster. Marco Martin was faster too. He moved ahead of Burns. This was Roman Cresta on the Monty last year. This year he's back having a blast driving a privateer Peugeot. But the man stealing the limelight in 2003 was still Sebastian Loeb. Despite taking great care of the snow, the Frenchman set the fastest time. And thanks to Gronholm's misfortune, he became the new rally leader. So, truly gone. Just take a look at that front wheel wobbling precariously. You have to take your hat off in the French Championship and has driven this stage many times. He was 6th overall. At his pre-rally reservations, Marco Martin was going well. Ford would be more than pleased with the Estonian's gritty and determined drive. He finished the day 4th overall and in striking distance of Carlos Sainz.
Right, 5 left, go 53 plus left.
Citroën have showed they mean business. Just 4 stages separate them from an historic podium sweep tomorrow. 3rd spot is currently occupied by Carlos Sainz. His new partner Mark Marty had settled in well, and they stormed through the stage with the winning time. Colin McRae has never won in Monty, and he'd love to do it in his Citroën debut. But first he'd have to catch Loeb. But the Frenchman hasn't put a foot wrong all weekend, and it'll take more luck than skill to catch him. For second, Citroën's only worry is whether Marco Martin can catch his old teammate.
So we are in first from the rally.
Still difficult day tomorrow with Turini in the morning, which
To
always...
WRC.com. See you after the break. Marco Martin was determined to knock Carlos Sainz off the podium. There's nothing Ford's new team leader would relish more than to beat his old teammate. And on this occasion he did. Sainz was slower and his 3rd place was now on the line. Closing in on Carlos Sainz. No time to rest after the Col de Turini getting any problems. But that was certainly the case for Didier Auriol. Nobody wants brake trouble when there's a succession of hairpins looming, but the Frenchman rose to the challenge in the Skoda. Quicker still was Armin Schwarz. At last something for Hyundai to smile about, and something for the German to smile about too. He was 8th and on track to pick up a point. A place above him was Francois Duval. False confidence in this 22-year-old Belgian seemed to be paying off. Stage by stage, it seemed he was growing in confidence. He blasted through this stage in just over 14 minutes. Meanwhile, his teammates still had a lot to do if he was to catch Carlos Sainz. With a 30-second gap, Marco Martin couldn't afford to let off the throttle in this stage. And he was fast, very fast. He finished the stage in 14 minutes and 9 seconds. Carlos's podium finish was in danger. And brake problems certainly didn't help. Sainz battled on, desperately trying to hang on to his lead, knowing he couldn't afford to be anything more than 30 seconds slower than Martin if he was to hold on to that third place. His heart must have been pounding as he crossed the flying finish. And it wasn't enough. Martin knows 7 seconds ahead, and for now, third place overall was his. No stage win this time for Colin McRae, but the only thing the Scot had to do to hold on to second place was to stay on the road. Sebastian Loeb was last through the stage. He was only 7th fastest, but he'd already done enough to give himself a healthy lead and the luxury of taking it easy. So bad news for Sainz as Martin leapfrogs him into third place.
But a faster time on the second stage of those two.
For sure. The only team that can claim to make every component in the car. They have a lot of previous competition experience, but they're not counting their chickens just yet.
The general feeling of the team is to be quite humble about it.
WRC engineer Jean-Claude Vaucard. He designed the awesome Peugeot 205 T16. They have also drafted in Colin and Carlos, who have 49 rally victories between them.
It's nice to have these two guys. They have a good experience and they have the same opinion of what...
If it wasn't for a small collision with the mountainside yesterday, Marcus Gronholm might have been leading, but it wasn't to be. Still, a manufacturer point was at stake for Peugeot. Ford must be confident they've made a great investment for the future in Marco Martin, especially considering his performance on this event. If he could just make it to the end of this rally with no troubles, he'd be on the podium. But the treacherous conditions prove once again that nothing can be taken for granted on Monte. The big question was, how much would that dice with ice cost him? The answer depended on how much Carlos Sainz could do. The Spaniard rose to the challenge. Look out for the time on the right. He goes quicker, taking a chunk out of Marco Martin's lead. It's Mountain, but not this time. 4th fastest on the stage and still poised for 2nd overall. Loeb is experienced enough to know that when you've got a healthy lead, it's not worth taking the risks. He knew he was just a few kilometres away from a Monte win. So it looks like no worries at the top for Loeb, just 1 stage away from victory. The big battle is for that final podium place. The ultimate battle between youth and experience. And could Martin hold on? But Sainz clearly had the bits between his teeth. Let's ride aboard Isara. Nearly 7 seconds faster than Martin. A memorable drive from Sainz, ensuring that he was 3rd and that Citroën claimed a clean sweep of the podium. Colin McRae wasn't giving an inch either, still flying and gunning for glory. The Scot finished in 2nd place on his dazzling debut for the French marque. But it was Sebastian Loeb who cruised to a stunning victory. He didn't care about his 7th quickest time. He knew the win and maximum 10 points were his. Now the celebrations could begin. Vive la Loeb! Confirmation then of the result. It's an historic 1-2-3 for Citroën. Disappointment in the end for Marco Martin and also for Peugeot, who ended the rally with a luck for the season. Receives a cheque for $5,000 to give to a charity of his choice. Well done, Sebastian.